Okay, so we are here with Bran again today. I don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to work on getting that stretch to the hip flexors, getting some mobility, and then also yielding the forehand again. One of the things with Bran on yielding the forehand is he has a pretty solid personal space bubble, and he has emotions about being told to move his feet. So, yielding the forehand mentally practices him just responding to an aid. And one that's kind of assertive. You know what I mean? Me saying, "Hey, I want your space. Get out of mine." I really that space is mine now. So that's kind of an assertive piece of language for horses. And then on top of that, him stepping left and right and adducting and abducting through those front legs and those shoulders is definitely an integral piece of him unlocking through those shoulders and being able to lift them, because they were definitely so stuck that he couldn't lift up through them. So we're going to work on stretching out those hip flexors, lifting and rocking back, and then stepping left and right through the forehand in hopefully about 20 minutes, because I don't actually have much more time than that. So we'll see how many of those things that we get through today, and we'll work on that. I'm going to load up on treats kind of behind the scenes here, and then we're going to get to work. Yeah, nah, bro. Nah, bro. The mother load is not where you're going to go. But that's a good question. That's a great question to ask. Let me come over here. Good. 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 Okay, that is not the same as yielding the forehand. He just moved to follow a treat. But that is something that I need him to also start listening to do. So, since we have him in that mode right now, I'm just going to start with that. Good. Forehand away. Good. Yeah, that's a bunch of stuff that you can't step on. So you'll notice that moving away from me kind of garners an emotional response from him. Yes. Good. I'm not actually going to positively reinforce this. I'm just going to let him have his space. Once the ears stop coming back, there we go. Look at you. We're accepting. Good. I don't know. Fran. That's it. Move those feet quick. Good. Okay, cool. Other way. Good. There we go. Good job. He's such a Sour Patch Kid. Like, this guy hates to be told to move out of someone's space. Not because he loves being in it, just because he does not like being told what to do. Okay, good. Alrighty. Are you going to start offering that for me? Oh, what a funny guy. That's interesting. Okay, cool. Well, I was hoping 20 minutes would be enough, and it seems like about 3 or less. Good. Extend. Good. Reach. Good. That's okay. Step that right front forward. That one. This is the one. Here, let me get this there. Start. Good. Good. Reach. Good. Yes. I don't mind that paw. It wasn't really necessary, but if that's where his brain is thinking I want with that. Good. Now let's kind of start the opposite of that. We're going to start trying to walk the hind feet back a little bit and rock back. One thing worth noting today, I'm specifically trying to spend more time working on his right eye, because he does get a little bit more conflict oriented over here, and he's a little more inclined to try and shoot into my space. So, the ears back and all of that good stuff, good. Is not going to surprise me. Good, rock back. Nope. Good. That's good. Forward that one. Forward that one. Good. Forward. Good. Forward. That one. Just this one. Good. That's okay. Good. Yep. That's the correct answer. Okay. Out of my face. being nosy. You're there. Good, rock back. Good, no, not. Foot there. Foot comes forward. Good, extend up. Yes. Probably hard to tell from the camera, but what I saw that I really was what I was wanting is this muscle right here to engage, okay? So I want him to, as he's going backwards, to intently put tension into that muscle, okay? Good, stretch forward. Good. That way, good. And rock back. Two. Good. Oh, still feet. That. But you've got to rock back, not just good, extend, good, and then rock it back. Good. And extend. One more time, I know. Extend, good. He seems to have figured out a cue. Rock back, rock back, rock back. Yes. Okay, so he seems to be cueing off of something that wasn't how I intended it to do. He is basically guessing and checking. If I take this treat out and just kind of drag it in front of him, he is moving the front feet out and then stretching through those hip flexors and that pelvis, which is great because physically that's what he needs, okay? That wasn't specifically the cue that I was hoping to set up for this. I really didn't know which cue was going to end up being the one. So he's kind of picked one, which I'm 100% fine with. And then I'm going to start using that cue that he's decided on. So he walks away the front end away from the back end. And I'm going to start using that cue to start adjusting where he places his front end, or where he places his weight over his front end, I guess. So if I want him to extend and really reach for those hip flexors, I will have that cue extended out in front. If I want him to rock back, I'm gonna try and draw that cue back towards his own shoulder. Hi, that's nice of you to come join me over here. Move over. No, that way. Take a step to the right. Left. There you go, good. Good, stretch. You can move these feet. Good, and then up and back. Good, good. You rock it back. Yes, there you go. We are not quite 100% parking our feet away to work toward, like, I'm sort of working towards about, I basically want him to be able to extend and stretch each end of the horse. So I want him to extend through the pelvis and stretch the pelvis. I want him to then extend downward, basically into like a downward dog, and then stretch the front end out. So I'm trying to figure out where his brain thinks that balance of line is for cueing. And then we're going to just kind of play with this and work with it. So I want him to understand that he's gonna have more than one posture that he's gonna stretch through. And he's seeming to start getting that the answer isn't going to be the same every time. So right now I'm just gonna reward approximate attempts that are kind of moving the literal right direction, okay? Quit. Yeah. No, move over. Move over. Move this away from me. Good. And come forward. Let's have a few steps forward, okay? Good. Good. There you go. Very good. Very good. Stretch. One more step on the side. One more step on the side. You can do it. I know you can do that. I do. No. Get out of my space. I'll give my hand. Okay? Good. Come forward. Here we go. Good. Good. Let's just get straight. Good. Quit. Yeah. Quit. Nope. Good attempt. How about this today? Good. Good. Come up, and rock back. Good, yes. Out. Good. That one. Out. Out. Ready? Out. Good. And rock back. Just rock. Good. Yep. Okay, there seems to be something mental. I'm gonna make him move here in a minute for real, like circles move. Stop. Good. Whoop, sorry, that was a miscue on my part. I am practicing using the whip on my left hand, okay? Sir. Good, yes. Yeah, there you go. Good. Rock back just a smidge. Yes. Done. Okay, beautiful. We're gonna end that component on that note because that's exactly what I wanted him to do, is to come up and rock back a little bit. Is it a ton? No, but he got rewarded for exactly what I wanted him to approximate, okay? And then since mentally and physiologically he seems to go through some weird chemical and brain changes as we do this, I know it's knocking something loose. So I'm gonna make him move. We're gonna do some sending and just quick direction changes, and I'm probably gonna find a nice little hill to do those on, so he has to really work those muscles at the same time. So we're gonna find a spot. One other thing I want to talk about. So I am using positive reinforcement techniques to do this type of training, and it's definitely very effective. He is definitely very engaged and trying to do something, right? He's trying to find what the right answer is. What I am also, I am not an R+ only trainer, okay? So him being excessively in my bubble and excessively trying to kind of grab at my hand or try and tell me to do things, I am, at some point, you're gonna see me swat him out of my space pretty good and make him go like, no, that's not where you're supposed to be. So right now, while he's attempting to actually do things, I'm not gonna do that, but at some point when he is overly in my bubble, especially on this right hand side that I don't practice as much, you're gonna see me kind of lay down the law. And I'm not gonna be like abusive or big, but I am gonna be maybe large gesturing or a solid kind of impact. He might get smacked in the face is what I'm saying. So I don't necessarily, I select who I think that is right for. I have a very introverted horse in the farm. I don't think I've ever done that with him. You know what I mean? This guy's pretty extroverted and he is willing to be in my space. The main mare on the farm would not let that happen. So I'm going to kind of channel her vibes for a moment and then send him out of my space when it's time. So I'm going to relocate us. I'm going to figure out probably this hill right over there by the trailer. So we're going to pause while I skidamarinky-dinky-dink my way over there. Okay, we've relocated. We're going to resume our groundwork, and then we're going to do a bunch of direction changes, maybe some walk trot work. We'll see what I end up getting done. I only have a few more minutes left, so come along. Energetic. job. Good. Go. Go. Go forward. Good. No, we're not stopping. Good. Move out. Good. Good. All right, let's do one at the top. A little bit more bright walk. Good. 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 Forward. Come on, go forward. Ida, go forward. Good. Good job. Good job, girl. Okay. Good job. Keep it on the step. Good. Yes. Good job. Okay. I don't think it's this one. Here. Do that one more time. Yeah, good. Good. Yes. No. You got that? Good job. Good. Nope. Behind him stays put. That stays that way. Good. Thank you. That stays that way. That stays that way. Good job. Now this goes that way. Yeah, good job. One more step. Finish it. Yes. Good. Ooh. The whole point is staying in my face. Go. No. Back up. Back up. Good job. Good. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna let him hopefully process here in a minute. We'll get a lick and a chew. Hey. Nope, we don't get to avoid our feelings by eating. Nope. There you go. Good job. All right. Okay, so we have finally got the lick and chew I want. I don't really love that he's grazing right now, but for the moment, I'm gonna give a few final notes here on this. So essentially, one thing I will say about Bran, this is not gonna be the horse who just is super duper compliant about everything with like a happy face, and he just really never has been, and I don't foresee that he will be anytime soon. I'm assuming we'll be much more advanced in our groundwork journey, and he'll still always have an opinion on it. He will develop a lot of skills, and he already has developed a lot of skills. But he still has an opinion, and that's okay with me. I don't actually mind that. So, while I would love for this to be, you know, a horse who's just always like, oh my gosh, that was the best idea you've ever had. Thank you so much. That's just not who he is. Especially coming out of the soreness and the tension and all that good stuff that his body used to have, I don't think that's going to be him anytime soon. So, we've noticed great improvement. We had that stretch through the hip flexors and the hips and the hind end. We started working towards getting him to rock back and start stretching out that front end. We did some direction changes. So while I've done a ton of groundwork with this guy in the arena, 99% of it has been basically lunging him full arena to push him forward because he needed to move to get those parts working, literally. So believe it or not, the close-up stuff of turning a ton, yielding the forehand, changing direction, turning the hind end away from me and things like that is not stuff that we've practiced an absolute ton. So it's actually going to be kind of good because you'll see what this is like to do with a horse who like maybe doesn't just say yes the exact first time that they're asked for everything. So this is going to be a little more real world than this is like a perfect little demo of everything going swimmingly well, like a perfectly mature fully Liberty horse. So we're kind of more of a warts and all type package in the real world right now than we are like absolute perfection. So hopefully that is not off-putting for you if you're following along with this little journey. And you'll get to see how we develop into and what sort of horse he develops into. So I'm going to send him back to the field and move on to my next activity for the day. Thanks so much for listening and watching. I hope you at least garnered something out of this.